Boys, what's going on?
Morning, Andy.
Morning, gentlemen.
What,
Are we?
welcome to another episode. Today we got some guests, Chrissy boy.
That we
We got,
do.
we got the FNQ arm of Strengthlab on the pod today. Maybe Chris, you can do the introductions because you know all the stats, bro.
Yeah, so special guests today. We've got Azar Gutchin himself and Big Troy. So yeah, I've obviously coached both these boys for many years now, and in terms of their bodybuilding journeys, which is exciting for me being a coach, being able to sit back in the back seat and as a fan, I guess, watch an athlete develop through their journey over the years is super exciting. So how are we, fellas?
Good, mate. Good. Yeah, it's pretty exciting to jump on here and chat with some really good mates, but also some professionals in their own field, and talk about everything bodybuilding journey wise, and some goals, aspirations, and yeah, just having a chat, I guess.
Sick, man.
Yeah, how are you, boys? It is good. I won't be talking too much bodybuilding, a bit more about life and the philosophy and how we can actually become better humans, because that's where I'm from. Andrew, you know that, bro. That's part of my DNA. It's it's just going to be good to sit down and have a Sunday chat with the boys, and I have no idea what's in store, boys. So you better run through it, eh?
Either
Not to
way,
mention,
bro.
like Joe is like just around the corner as well. So for those who Yeah. know, Troy is literally 2 weeks out from the IFBB's Queensland's, which is in the Gold Coast this year, which is good. And as is deep into an off-season improvement phase. So we'll get into a lot more of that as we go through the podcast. So excited, fellas. It's going to be good.
Troy boy, how you feeling, bro?
Yeah, good. I was just saying to Chris before, it's you have your good days and your bad days. It's like sad days, it's I've obviously got a real estate business as well. So that's the hardest day. I think it's just the idle time that when I'm moving or training or prepping food or whatever it is, it's okay. It's when you're standing in a house for 45 minutes talking to people about why they should buy something that it just drains you. So but it's I was saying before, it's probably helped me. I closed a couple of deals yesterday from just being really short. I'm not showing too much empathy and cutting to the chase. So as you boys know, like you sort of prioritize where your energy goes, and part of that's selective, part of it's you make a conscious choice of that, but the other part is you just have no energy. Your brain doesn't operate like it used to, so it goes into conservation mode. So I'm in that mode, definitely conservation mode at the moment. Lead bricks.
You're 2 weeks out from this first show, right?
Yeah, 2 weeks. So so obviously yesterday was bang on 2 weeks out. So obviously that final push before we do a bit of a peak week. Yeah,
it's like, I mean, I've been keeping up with the prep pretty closely with Chris. Dude, it's been looking like from the outside, other than the obvious shit like feeling low on energy and stuff, it seems like it's been a fucking awesome prep, dude.
yeah.
Comparing the pictures from last prep to this prep, it's night and day.
Totally different human. Like it's amazing how I'm not young. I'm in my 40s, so to see the body change, and you don't sort of, I guess, recognize until you get to this stage how much it's changed. The last probably 6-7 weeks, just sort of see what sort of muscle density you carry and how you actual. It's almost like my structure's changed. It's strange, like my waist has just shrunk down. It's probably years of playing professional sport and playing footy. You always developed a strong core, thicken your core. Be strong for your hips, and then you take that away, and all of a sudden your structure can change. I think that's probably the lesson I've learned in bodybuilding is there are things you can do with good coaching and stuff like that can really change your physique. And but it's time. Like it's been 2 years, Chris, since the last competition. So following year, and I made you wait another year. 100%. And it was good advice because it's give me time to I've held for I've held mass this year. Like I've put on size, and like I've dropped a little bit obviously in the last couple of weeks cut wise, but yeah, it's amazing to see that I've stuck the muscle. And what do you reckon, Chris? Probably a few 3 kilos, 4 kilos, maybe more heavier on stage, which in men's physique's a big difference.
Mm.
Considering I remember, I think last time nationals
we got down to around the low 87s.
Yeah. Yeah.
The lowest we've got now is like the mid 91s. So, and that's like obviously flat. So that's like when you're looking at tangible stage weight increases and changes in like muscle mass, muscle density, that's like 4 kilos of actual stage weight can like just add up to be like you said, a completely different human being.
That's a lot.
Which is why obviously, you know, in the off season, we focus so much on, you know, improving those specific areas relative to men's physique that we thought were going to give us the best illusion of, you know, again, has your waist shrunk that much, or have your shoulders and, you know, your lats just grown that much to, you know, obviously shrink your waist down. I know we have incorporated a bit of abdominal work and things like that do help as well, but just the whole shape and structure of your physique this time around looks completely different.
Yeah,
100%, you know.
I said this to you at the wedding, Troy, at Chris's wedding, and it's something I've noticed. Just such a big change in your physique, like the structure or the look of the structure, and it's just it just goes to show, like if you, I mean, a lot of people may not think 4 kilos is a lot, but 4 kilos in the right place.
Yeah, I actually think it might be more.
That's a different body, bro. Even if it is 4 kilos, like that's just a different looking.
He's actually leaner. Like he's leaner at this weight now than he was probably on stage last time. So although he's lighter, it's 4 kilos weight difference. If he's leaner, so it's probably more than 4 kilos, which is pretty exciting.
Way more taper, wider shoulders. The lats are just popping out, and that brings the waist.
And it's also like the physiology too. Like I'm stronger. I don't have any injuries. Like last prep, I had a few injuries, you know, that were popping up. Maybe they were pre-existing from, but you know, just that slow, steady approach. Obviously, Chris, you know, 2 years of work, but you know, just that monotonous of, you know, call it laying bricks, just brick by brick. You know, not getting ahead of ourselves, and then obviously it comes together pretty quickly. So no, it's been a really good journey. You know, it's been, I don't know, Chris, I'm good to coach. You probably just plug me in and you just tell me what to do and I do it. I've got that sort of mentality. So it's that's the easy part for me, is, you know, following the program. That's not hard. It's you know, it's the unknown. Obviously, you don't know how you're going to go on the stage date, but I know one thing for sure, that I've beaten last time's physique by you know, a shitload. So, and that's all you can do, eh?
That's the goal, man.
That's your focus, is like, tells me everything I need to know about you as an athlete, you know? It's like, you can't control who's going to show up on show day. Like, you could come in there, you could win. You could come in there, you may be outside the top 3. You may place worse than last time. You may place better. It's such a, you know, an unknown, but having the actual balls to fucking, you know, still stand up there and, you know, obviously just continue to give it a crack. And just knowing that you've improved so much, that in and of itself, you view that as the win rather than the actual outcome of stepping on stage. I think that's like the real bodybuilding, you know, journey, in my opinion.
So, Chrissy, what's the plan from here, bro? Like, you got 2 weeks left. Like, is there more digging to do? I've seen I think I've seen pretty recent photos, and he's looking pretty tight.
Yeah, so I think at the moment we're more or less just, you know, I've given Troy a couple of, you know, I think last week we pushed in about 500 carb. More or less, I'm just using these little days to assess and test, you know, how much does his body weight go up the next day? Like, what's the visual change in the look? You know, is he spilled? Is he looking a little bit worse after sort of 500 grams of carbs? And then how long does it take him to sort of flatten off? Where is he looking his best? This week we did 350, just as a little bit of a tester. So I don't know if we've got some pictures there, but yeah, this week was just a little bit of a tester. But next week, when we're running into peak week, probably from here in, we'll just be pretty much running like low days. Obviously, depending on, you know, if weight drops too much and he starts to flatten off, then I might give him a little bit of a bump on a certain day. But we pretty much check in every single day now, and I'm just like assessing and adjusting based day by day, essentially on what, you know, we're seeing and what's happening with weight, you know, recovery, all those sorts of things. And then obviously coming into peak week, I think based off the data and information that we've accumulated over this prep, I think we'll probably approach this peak week a little bit differently. I think that the way that Troy tends to metabolize carbohydrate in particular is that, we say this to him all the time, it's like the equivalent of a racehorse, right? So like, he can be fed a lot, but I think that in peaks past, what I've learned with him is that we probably need multiple days of loading, because even after I think we did that rapid backload where we put in over 1,000 grams of carbs, there were points where he was still flattening off quickly. So I think rather than running a peak like that, I think the benefit of being in condition so early, is just simply down to the fact that you don't have to catch your tail, or you're not sort of chasing your tail at the end, in terms of we're not dieting all the way up until maybe Wednesday, and then we're doing, maybe we do a deplete, and then we're into like a couple of high days. I think this time round, I'm going to probably do closer to like a linear load with Troy, which will more or less just be, we'll start the week on his base food, and then each day we'll probably taper it up by 25 to 50 grams of carbohydrates, and essentially just the equivalent of slowly filling out a balloon. So we'll likely see a steady increase of sodium. Potassium probably stay the same. Water will pretty much stay the same, maybe slightly titrate up on some of his highest carbohydrate days, with the goal to be pretty much almost ready 2 days before the show. And then essentially, if he wakes up the following morning and, we feel like he's a bit spilled, that to me is a good sign, because I think if you're a little bit spilled the day before, and then obviously the next day, you'll pretty much be spot on. So essentially the goal will be just steadily filling out the balloon. And I think that when you are someone that has to, because he might even get up to say, some days of 750, 800 grams of carbs. And, his weight might not even move, all that much once we, drop off a bunch of stress and we obviously go into that peak week. But I think one of the problems you can run into, particularly with men's physique, if you are loading a lot of carbohydrates on a singular day, you can cause, although you assimilate those carbs well and you might look full, it can blow your waist out a little bit as well. So I think that steadily loading those carbohydrates for Troy and just sort of drip feeding him in, assessing the look, seeing where his weight's at, is he still flat, is he full, and then just keeping that nice and consistent with fluid and balance of everything else. I think that'll lead to a very consistent look on show day where we won't be struggling so much with him flattening off.
Yeah, I love that. That's pretty much what I did with Dave for the last show. He was ready very early, and we pretty much just slowly increased things, and then just monitored the look, and it came out really, really consistent, and it was easy to control as well, which is...
That's why I like that approach so much, because it's so easy to control. It's just like, if you're already lean, it makes it so much easier.
Got to be ready early. That's the caveat.
And I think that's the takeaway, is like, if you're not peeled, a peak like this will just have you not looking your best. But you have to be really ready to take in those carbohydrates and be proper fucking peeled.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. 100%, bro. Well, let's move over to you for a sec, because I don't want to keep you out of the conversation.
That's all good, mate. I'm here to listen and contribute where I can.
So, as you've known Chris since you were like 2 or something, equivalent to basically
5 years old, eh? 5 years old.
5 years old. And you both came up, I guess, from youngsters, with a big love for bodybuilding, not at that young of an age, but as you guys got into your teens and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Where did it all start for you, bro? Like, was it actually Chris who got you into it, or did Az get Chris into it, or what was the actual story there?
I think the gym we were initially going to as youngsters, around that 14, 15 age, we were around some fellas in the gym, and the gym owner, we start to build a strong relationship. His name's Graham.
Yep.
And he sort of gave us an insight into what bodybuilding can do, not only for yourself, but, you can actually go down this route of sort of that sporting projective. So, yeah, I guess being around that gym and him being an actual past bodybuilder gave us a good idea of what we could do with our physiques. But then also some other youngsters that were also keen into getting into this space. We just built this small community of like young people that were really intrigued by bodybuilding and like everything that came with it. And then it just all started from there.
Yeah, nice.
We're based from such a small town too. We're actually, last podcast we talked about the 8-hour arm workout that we did.
Yeah, we were talking about the 8-hour arm workout. So you were part of that as well.
It was the most craziest experience. Like, you're in the gym from 8 till 4, and yeah, it's just non-stop.
Troy, because we were talking about we had a question like, what's the most brutal workout you've ever done? And that one came up for Chris. That was one memory banks.
That's next level.
All right. So what age was that as? What are we talking? 16 there?
We started around 14, I think, because we were playing sport as well. We were playing rugby league, and and we sort of made that transition over into actually like solely focusing on training and strength work and hypertrophy work. So.
And like out of interest, like for me personally, I was like a chubby kid when I started. Were you guys like lean, or were you guys skinny, or what?
He fucking came out of the womb with a six-pack, to be honest.
Yeah.
I was not a chubby kid. I was definitely an athletic kid, but like I never really had like a ton of muscle mass or like a visual six-pack or anything like that. I wouldn't say I look, much different to just a normal kid, to be honest. But Azar literally looked like he's carved from stone when he came out of the womb.
Really? That's very funny. All right, see. So then you started basically getting, indoctrinated into the bodybuilding culture from basically the gym that you joined and the guys that were there. And then when was your first show, bro?
I think first year out of school. So I would have been 18 still.
Yep.
So that would have been 2013.
Shit.
Yeah, and I competed in Townsville at the A&B bodybuilding show. And then a week later, ICN in the same week, couple of weeks.
Yep, I think I got some photos. Let me just pull it.
2015 as.
A couple of years out of school.
Yeah, 2015, because I competed in 2013, 2014, and then you did 2015.
Oh, yeah.
So when is this as?
So this would have been maybe 3 or 4 years later, probably 2021. Or yeah, so it would have been a while actually.
So this is 2021.
I've just got a photo coming through there for you, Andy, as well.
Yep. Oh, so what's this? Is this A&B?
A&B, yeah.
Okay, so that's the show you're talking about?
So the photo I just sent you as well, that was the ICN show a week later in 2015 as well.
Let me pull it up.
So it was an interesting first hit out because, Chris and I weren't knowing what to expect going in. And there was a few boys in the category, but this is probably the most peeled I've ever been. Which is quite interesting. We put a lot of hard work into that one. That was 26 weeks of prep. But yeah, stepped on stage.
You were 18, 19 in that picture too, yeah? Yeah.
Question. I feel like a lot of people's first preps are often the ones where they get the leanest, almost. Why do you think that is?
I think it's a very new thing that you do and you participate in, and you're like, okay, in order for me to get here, from here to here, the actions that you take daily is very clear and you understand what you're doing. Whereas when you're exposing yourself to different shows, different environments, different categories, then it starts to get blurred. So if the goal that you have in mind is not very specific and clear, then your processes and systems can sort of blur out what you're actually trying to do to get from A to B.
Yep. Yeah, because we were talking about this on the last podcast about it was like which of our preps were the easiest, I think it was.
Yeah.
And we were saying just because like you don't know what's ahead of you in your first prep. You don't know what to expect. So often like you just kind of go with the flow a lot more, and it actually is a little bit easier. But when you've done it once or twice or whatever, and then like, okay, at this phase, I'm going to be feeling like this, and at this phase, and then you have that anxiety of like getting to that point a lot of the time, and that can be quite difficult to deal with. Now, Troy, your story's like completely different to as been doing this since he was a baby. You're coming into it much later with a bit more of a sports background. Well, take us through that, bro, because I find that really interesting.
Yeah, so it's like I always love strength, and I was obviously a pretty good football AFL wise, and sort of made top level and played professionally and semi-professional for a long time, and then
So, bro, just sorry, I'll interrupt. Go back. I'll go into more detail. So, like,
Yep.
from when you were say 18, what like, or getting out of high school, like, what was the story for you? Were you playing footy already at that point?
Yeah. So pretty good junior. Obviously grew up in country Victoria and played my first senior game. I think I was 14 years of age against the men and was playing pretty good footy. I was always, I was quite tall and very lanky, but a very good runner.
Pretty brutal back then. Were you still like, handing it to the men back then at 14?
I was so athletic. Yeah, I was the type of kid that you put him on a footy field and you wouldn't be able to catch him. He was just up and about and relentless energy and stuff like that. And obviously that progressed really well and became a player that was sort of ended up sort of playing most of my career at centre half back, but was a very athletic sort of running type player that was very hard to match up against. I could. Quite easily do a sub 9 minute 3K time trial at 6'3", and I was 92, 93 kilos when I was playing. So, and quite strong and that sort of thing as well. So, obviously, I love fitness. It was part of my cousin was a very good footballer, and I did a bit of boxing as a kid as well, and had a few amateur fights, and I've just got a bit of an addictive.
Everything, honestly.
Yeah. So, a bit of high school rowing and stuff like that. But just addictive personality. I realised pretty young that that and a few of mine I did. There was times where I used to get on the piss and that sort of thing, and I probably wrecked my footy career early a couple of times. You're sort of 16, 17 years of age, and you're around men and they're taking you out, and you're sort of drinking more than you should and that sort of thing, and you sort of, as I said, it was an addictive personality, always swaying towards something. So, and then so I went to Collingwood and then got cut from there, and then decided to just get out of Victoria and move to the Gold Coast. And I had I'd actually gone to university and done an exercise science degree, and being involved in a professional football club like the AFL, I hated it. I got to a stage and like, I don't want to do this. I don't want to be analysing and sort of. I love sport and I love physical nature and I love strength training because I was doing it, not because I wanted to, instruct other people to do it. So, so I pulled back and I went to the Gold Coast and played a lot of footy up there, and sort of fell back in love with that fitness journey again. And it was all around football. As I said before, it was all about, becoming stronger through your hips and more powerful athlete, that sort of thing. And played a lot of footy. I retired when I was 38, so I ended up moving up to Cairns later. Played another 8 years up here coaching and that sort of thing. And decided, I think we halfway through a footy season went and watched the Ironman up here, and one of the boys said, "Oh, you're a pretty good runner, but I don't think you'd be able to do an Ironman." I'm like, "Fuck yeah, I'm doing it." So 6 months later, I did an Ironman and did a pretty good time, like low 10s, and then the year after I busted 10 hours, and then got around and did a 9:28 in an Ironman, which is a pretty good time. So and then, I was pretty lucky through my footy career. I had, injuries, but nothing too major. And I was running down the hill one day as a recovery session after the Ironman, and stood over a pothole and did my ACL. I was like, oh, geez, and that was it. I couldn't run properly anymore on the roads. It was just bone on bone. So, and then sort of had a bit of time off, and then had a partner. She got cancer and passed away from brain cancer. And then met my new partner, Tracy, who's a very good competitor in the WBFF, which is now the FMG. And I think I was talking to Azar or something in the gym one day. I'm like, I wouldn't mind just, getting on a program and, just maybe look at competing. And then the introduction was made to Chris, and I was like, okay, the same sort of thing as the Ironman. I'm in. I'm going to do a competition. So, and that was, I think, was I then? I was 45 when I first got introduced to it, and I'm 48 now. So it's been 3 years, 3 and a bit years. So, and just it's. I think I did a little video a couple of weeks ago like this. I wish I'd found this sport earlier. It is just me, like that sort of that high maintenance, analysing and, doing things by the diary every day, repetitive steps and seeing incrementally changing. And obviously, it's a sport where football is very different. You got, other people on the park that you rely on. This is pretty much you and your coach, and that's where I think it's a beautiful sort of sport where you got basically, with Azar, obviously, and a couple of other people, there's not many people really know what it's like, and it's becomes a really tight little community, and you have like 100% trust. Like, I don't think I ever questioned Chris's programming at all. I'm just like, I think you need that too. Like, if you're going to get ahead, you need to find a coach that's obviously very good at what they do, but it's more about the trust. You know, I just say to Chris all the time, you just tell me what to do, man. Let's just fucking get this, you know. And if you told me to, you know, tomorrow that I had to, you know, run a 26K run to pull off weight, I'd fucking do it. You know, in the back of my mind, I'm like, I don't know if it's the right thing, but hey, I trust him. So, and that's part of, you know, why I love the sport so much, is that it's the hardest sport. Like, it's no doubt the hardest sport. Like, people say to me all the time, you know, what's the difference between like playing AFL or an Ironman? It's like, well, with an Ironman, for example, you train very hard, but you're eating a lot of food, and it's all about peak performance and getting yourself so that when you're on the race day that you're fueled up, you're ready to go, and this sort of thing. Whereas this sport, you're the opposite. Like, you're literally depriving yourself of everything so that you look good and you feel shit. So it's a totally different mentality whatsoever. So that I've never been in a sport where you monitor and gauge so much every day. Like, you know, it's which I love, to be honest. I know it's not for everyone, but I love the fact you weigh your food and you weigh yourself and you look yourself in the mirror and you measure your weights and measure your progress. And, you know, your coach says, okay, are you doing this well? It's it's definitely a different sort of sport, but I wish, as I said, wish I'd found it earlier. I think I've been quite good at it. But the same thing, I'm still doing it now. So
touching on a bit of that, Troy, and I think, you know, what reasons why people are drawn to the bodybuilding space is where, you know, comparing bodybuilding space to like a sporting space and external factors that contribute to like distractions and whatever while you're going through like a sporting journey is very different to like the bodybuilding space. And distractions, like, we try and limit as much as we can in terms of distractions to get from A to B, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, you know, that sporting space that has that drinking culture about it, you know, taking drugs, blah blah blah. Whereas we're really focused on minimalizing any sort of risk or distraction to stay focused in what we're trying to do. Don't get me wrong, like, we love a drink and whatnot, but yeah, that's another reason.
Yeah, I agree. And I think it's like I've got to say this, the idea I had with bodybuilding it's a very selfish sport. It's all about, you know, what you look like. It is the opposite. Like, you are selfish. You obviously look, you know, you're doing things for your own benefit, but you know, I don't do it to look a certain way. It's more about the process. It's like, you know, how can I improve on this each day? You know, it's the little things along the process that actually make it enjoyable for me. So at the end of the day, like, I think I was watching something the other day. Nick Walker, obviously last year, tore his hamstring. And he said something which I thought was really beautiful in the essence that, you know, it didn't really matter that he tore his hamstring, because the process along the way was what he enjoyed. And it's I think that's part of bodybuilding, is you don't do this just to step on stage. You do it because, like, how long on stage for, realistically? Like, in the scope of things, 2 years, I'm going to be on the stage for 15 seconds. So there's a lot of other time spent that you got to love. Otherwise, there's no point doing it.
Yeah, for sure. So, bro, I just want to go back a little bit, because you said you started playing seniors footy. Because for people who are watching this, they don't know, Troy played for Collingwood. You played for like seniors, yeah, like the
I was there for 4 years. Yeah. Yep.
So you started playing seniors at 14. What age did you start playing for Collingwood and get into all that?
Yeah, so I went. I got picked up my last year of high school, so it was October when I signed the contract. So I was 17, I think 17 and a half. I went there, and obviously then I had to go and live. I lived in country Victoria and Ballarat, and sort of uprooted and moved to Melbourne, and that was that journey. Yeah, so I was quite young, as I said. I didn't really develop physically. Like, as I said, I was a good athlete, good runner, but didn't. I remember the day I got to the Gold Coast. I literally had about 6 weeks off, where I was just like, you know what, finishing up here in Melbourne, I'm going to go.
How long were you there for?
4 years.
4 years, okay. So you played
there. And then on the Gold Coast for 10. I was on the Gold Coast for 10 years after that. But and I got to the Gold Coast, and I had 6 weeks. I just basically didn't train and like that, and then got back on the training track, and I was like, man, I've grown. like, this is crazy. And you know, I think my playing weight went up by about 6 kilos, and then I sort of became a different beast. And that's where I sort of, as I said, fell back in love with that journey around fitness and nutrition, and obviously strength training and things like that, because, you know, it must have been the stress. Like, I just didn't develop in the system, if that makes sense. Then I was removed from the system, and all of a sudden I freed myself up, and I was a lot better athlete at, say, 22 than I was at 17, when, you know, obviously I was in that realm of the AFL.
Yeah, I think you develop as well, bro. Like 17, you're still like an adolescent at that point. Like, I know for me,
Crazy.
my body wasn't developed at all at that age.
Mm.
So you're gonna add size, add strength.
Yeah.
And if you're
And things
training,
have changed too. Like back then, it was, you know, like you go to training, you'd run a 10K run and then go and train with the footy for an hour and a half. And so it was always pushing the envelope. And that's where I think, you know, the sports science has come along so much around, you know, not only getting high performance, but recovery and things like that, and actually developing players rather than just trying to break them down, if that makes sense. So I think it's the same in the bodybuilding world as well. Like, you look at, you know, the way that methodology's changed over the years. You look back, it's all changed a lot, you know. And I think that's one thing I've learned from Chris, is that, you know, you don't have to go and, you know, balls to the wall, break yourself every session. It's about incrementally just improving, and instead of just laying brick after brick.
yeah, 100%. And I think you guys are both right. Like, it's so different to every other sport in the way that, like, every other sport or most other sports is based on like fueling yourself for performance, whereas bodybuilding is like you're starving yourself while you're trying to
Crazy.
perform when
Yeah.
so it just makes the whole thing so much. It just gives the whole like just another dynamic, which makes it probably one of the most difficult things to do, to be honest. How does it compare to doing Ironmans, playing footy? Do you think that it is much more difficult?
100%. I say it all the time. It's you know, Ironman's a really hard sport. Like, it's a lot of training hours and things like that. But it's not like this, where, as I said, this is constantly, especially at this stage where you're trying to push performance when you're not feeling great. Like, you know, to be honest, when you're doing an Ironman, you're always trying to feel great. So if you're doing a training load week and you're not feeling great, you back things off. But here you can't. You know, you're pushing hard. You're still, you know, I think I sent a message to Chris the other day. You know, what are we doing around weight sessions? You know, and he just said, no, what got you the muscles is going to keep you the muscles. So keep pushing heavy. So you're still pushing, like, you know, you have got 5,000 calories in your diet and you're on 2,000. So it's the mental part of the sport, and I think it's the compounding nature. It's the day in, day out. Like, you know, I used to do a 4-week training block with an Ironman, and on that 4 weeks, you'd have a week off after, pretty much, where you taper down. You know, bodybuilding is different. It's you know, you deload, you might have a bit of a deload, but you're still eating to a plan. You know, you still got everything in place. You're not sort of backing off. So it's as I said, it's 2 years, like, to get on stage. Whereas, you know, footy, you compete each week, and Ironman, you can compete 3 or 4 times a year. So it's a long game. You know, it's a long process.
What takes up more like time with training? Does an Ironman, it seems like it's going to be like hours a day of training. Is that the case?
Yeah, look, non-peak week's going to be, say, 17, 18 hours, up to 32 hours a week. Yeah. So, you know, in the heaviest, you know, when I was doing Ironmans, in the heaviest, you know, you like, a Saturday would be a long day. You do an 8-hour bike ride, and then you come off the bike and do like 11 1K time trial splits. So, you know, that's, you know, you're roughly going for 10 hours. So in one session, and then the Sunday session, what you do, what you call a long slow run, which could be anywhere from 25 to sort of 35 Ks, which, you know, depending on what sort of split runs you're taking, but that's, you know, 2.5 hour run on a Sunday. And then you've got double sessions, you know, swim sessions, run sessions, and things like that. So it's a lot of time, but it's just slow and methodical. You know, there's some high tempo stuff where you might be doing some quicker tempo runs and things, but it's all about sort of staying in a low zone, and obviously building capacity around a certain heart rate. So it's a different, it's a lot of time, but it's not as I said, you can eat as much as you like. Like, as long as your performance keeps going up, keep eating, sort of thing. Whereas here, like, this is what I struggle with here. It's like, you feel like, especially last couple of weeks, like you could eat the house down and you just can't. Like, it's that's the hard part, that discipline. Yeah.
Has that been the hardest thing you found in your preps? Is it, are you someone that suffers from a reasonable amount of hunger?
Yeah, like the training part, I love suffering. Like, you put me on a salt bike, anything like that, I can sit there and just do it for hours and hours and hours. And it's just the hunger. Yeah, it's food.
You know what's interesting as well is I've asked the same question to one of my clients, Jess Farn, because she used to run ultra marathons. Prior to obviously picking up bodybuilding later in life, and she's now, she's a national champ now for physique athlete as well. I asked her the same question. What do you think is more difficult? Because last prep, I got her fucking peeled, like really, really lean. And it was crazy. She's like, bodybuilding is like even way harder than I expected and way harder than doing the ultras as well.
I think like you see a lot of good athletes come from these sort of backgrounds. Like a lot of good bodybuilding athletes are into athletics and footy, and I think it just gives you such a good base, and like you end up having like a better body composition for bodybuilding. I think once you have that base, have you noticed that, guys?
Yeah, 100%. I think my background, like me and Azar both played a lot of footy growing up as well. And look, to be honest, some of those sessions that we did, particularly in that one season, when Tonga was coaching us, was just like, I honestly, I'd never been pushed that hard before in my life. And I think that whenever you go through those periods, like within training, it teaches you there's another level of like a threshold that you can continue to push past. And then when you learn that skill of being able to push past all of your barriers again and again and again and again, and then you translate that to something like bodybuilding, you've already learned the skill of how to continuously push yourself to another level. So that way, when you are bodybuilding, you always know, even when you're thinking, fuck, man, this is hard, you always know there's another level of something that I could be doing better every single time. How much further can I push? And you just keep pushing and pushing and pushing.
Yeah. Interesting. As you're in the off season at the moment, right?
Yeah.
What's the plan for you, bro, at this stage? Like, when are you guys planning to get on stage next?
Yeah, Chris and I have covered this conversation a couple of times throughout the past couple of years.
Would you like to wrap that into your previous prep as well, and then maybe start back at like the last show that we just did? Talk a bit about that prep, and then lead into that prep into the show, and then from then sort of to where you are now.
Yeah. So I guess the show before actually winning the national novice title for men's physique, the show before that, it wasn't a great showing. I was quite, in two heads of whether to do bodybuilding or men's physique. And what pushed me was just the things you had to do in bodybuilding to get to a certain level. So I was like, I'm not willing to do that. So I ended up didn't bring like a great package to the stage. So then I ended up in the same like comp, like the 2 weeks going from state to nationals. I changed my mind and I was like, I'm not doing bodybuilding. And then I just went into men's physique. And then like it was just a very blasé approach. So we ended up just going to Melbourne and just it was sort of a boys' weekend / bloody stepping on stage weekend. So the result of that wasn't great. I stepped on stage with probably 30 blokes, and there was, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 lineups in the same category. And out of the one lineup that I participated in, I reckon I got bloody 15th. Like that's just a stab in the dark. But then
like the third call out or something like that, I think.
Yeah. It was horrifying. It was the worst experience for me as an athlete stepping on stage. So that experience fueled my next showing, which was a few years later, 3 or 4 years later, which then ultimately, got the national title, which gave us so much confidence to be like, all right, this is the systems and processes that we had in place for the previous show. This is what we've done for this one. The vision's a bit clearer on what we have to do. We know like my body a bit more and how it sort of reacts to certain protocols. And then like we can use all that information that we learned that got a really good result and then just build on that. So this last pre-season, I've sort of transitioned out from a job that required a heavier workload. So now the workload from work is less in the current role that I'm in. So I'm allowing myself more time to spend in the gym, really focus on the food that I'm eating. So the conversation with Chris I had was, all right, when I step on stage next, or when we think about making the call to go to stage next, will be when I feel like I'm in a position to take out a pro card, go to the Olympia, and do really well. So yeah, this off season, just really focusing on executing it really well. So focusing on my nutrition, which for me I find it really hard. Like I feel like eating is a chore for me, and everyone that goes out to dinner with me will understand. Like I'm the slowest.
You're the slowest eater I've ever seen. Literally, like I don't think I've ever met anyone.
It takes Azar probably 2 times the amount of time to finish his meal that it would a normal person. So good.
More.
Which is great when you're dieting because you never really have been all that food focused. You'll be like saying, "Oh, bro, after the show, I can't wait to go and eat this and eat this." You'll have one bite of something and be like, "Oh, I'm so full. I can't get another bite."
How do you actually get the calories in the off season, bro? Because, dude, if you had to get like 5 or 6 meals in a day, you would just be eating all day because it's the length of time it takes you.
Man, everyone I work with, they're like, "Oh, how's you eating again?" Like, and it's only my 3rd meal for the day.
I think, look, the off season of calories for Az is anything north of 3,000. As soon as he starts to get above 3,000, like he really starts to struggle from a food standpoint.
Yeah, that's pretty similar to me. When I get to 3,000, it's like a lot of food for me. But I still eat it like at a reasonable pace. Like my thing is like you sit with the meal for so long, dude. Where does that come from?
It's like he's going to war with every meal that he eats.
Is it because you don't feel like it, so you just like take your time with it, or?
Yeah, everyone sort of comes up with the excuse for me. It's like, "Oh yeah, there's so many benefits of eating slow." I'm like, yeah, you're so right.
Have you always been
like, sorry?
Have you always been like that? When you guys were taking the bus to high school in the mornings, was he just eating his breakfast?
Unless it's like, honestly, unless it's like chocolate lollies, like I've seen you polish off some Skittles and some chocolate bars pretty quickly.
Yeah, and like those sort of benefits are not anywhere in the realm of actually why I eat slow. Like I just hate eating.
You hate eating.
Yeah.
Which, like I said, is easy when you're at the back end of the prep and food's really low. Well, that's another reason probably for you we need to take food so low, right? Which is a stark contrast because you probably eat almost half the amount that Troy would be eating at this point of a contest prep, which is very, very interesting to see.
Oh, it's crazy.
You get hungry on prep?
Sorry?
You get hungry on prep?
Yeah, 100%. Oh, they do. There is sometimes, I think, from like week 6 to week 3, like 3 weeks out, where I could just not eat all day.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like a satiety thing for Az. Like, although he may get hungry, he only needs to eat a little bit for him to feel full.
Yeah.
So it's like he instantly feels satiated after he's had a couple of bites or something, and then he's like, "Oh, I don't really want to eat the rest of this." So although he may feel really hungry, as soon as he eats, it just goes away.
That's funny as, bro. That's so funny. That's really interesting. Yeah, I was shocked when I saw you when I sat down for a meal with you. It's just the fucking killer. It's so good. But yeah, it's interesting. The question I want to ask you guys, Troy, you're very inspiring to me because I think you've done a really good job at dude, like just staying fit into your 40s, which I'm about to, I'm turning 39 this month. I'm turning 40 next month. And
40 is 10 years.
I'll be well and truly in my 40s. And dude, you look phenomenal at your age, and you don't let it, be an excuse for you. And you look
When
so
so
young and you're so strong and you're in the shape of your life, essentially. Would you say 47?
48 now, yeah.
48, mate. You look fucking not even 38. So
Mm.
I just find that so inspiring for me because I'm about to go into my 40s, and dude, you're just like a machine. You don't let any excuses kind of like penetrate, you know, your mindset or anything like that. And where does that come from, bro? Like what's allowed you to just keep going and not kind of slow down into your older age?
Um, I think, you know, as and I did a bit of posing session this morning, and I think, you know, we spoke around, you know, like who's the CEO of your life? Like who's in control? Like, you know, if you let other people have control of what you do each day, then obviously it's gonna skew, and it's gonna come off the train track. So, look, you know, I've probably had a couple of good lessons in life. Like I've had, you know, family members who aren't overly healthy. I've had a partner who's, you know, she was relatively young. She got brain cancer, and it's, I guess you sort of, everything's controllable, right? To a degree. Like, well, I should say, there's things in your life that are controllable. It's just, you just got to take the reins and run with it. So, because the alternative is you're out of control. And I've had moments in life where I've been out of control. You know, as I said, like a real vital time when I was playing footy, I was on the piss, you know, out doing party drugs and that sort of thing. I lost control. And I remember thinking to myself, I'm never going to let that happen again. So it's, you know, I've ripped up friendships over the last few years, possibly. You know, there's probably people that aren't in my life anymore, but fuck, the friendships I've got over the last few years, because I am the way I am now, it's so much better. But it's like, I'm pretty routine orientated, and like I always say, my diary is my PA in my pocket. You know, like if you had a personal assistant in your life basically telling you what to do every day to be successful, and they'll tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, for the next hour, just do this. All you need to do is just do this. You do it, right? And I've always had coaches. I've had, you know, business coaches, football coaches, fitness coaches, obviously Chris. You know, I put faith in people around me that I think that can get me along that journey in a more efficient way. So I let go of the things I shouldn't have to worry about. So, you know, Chris, tell me what to eat. Tell me how to train. Tell me what I need to do, and then I'll do it. Because there's a lot of stress. I think a lot of people bring stress in their life worrying about things that they, you know, could possibly outsource. So, you know, spend a bit of money. Like spend a bit of money on getting someone that's in your corner that can actually help you along that journey. Communicate well with your friends and your partner and stuff, you know, and say, look, you know, like Tracy knows, but the last 12 weeks, I said, look, babe, this is going to be hard the next 12 weeks. So I'm not going to be talking to you much. You know, like we've got an 8-year-old. I probably won't be kicking the foot around with Ethan as much as I would be. As long as you communicate that and sort of create the boundaries around you, people stop tapping on the shoulder and saying, hey, mate, let's go for a beer or let's go get a burger, and that sort of thing. It's, they understand. And it's even at the gym, you know, people used to come out of the gym and, oh, mate, can I grab you for 5 minutes? I'm like, nah, mate, I'm in prep. Like I've got something that I've got to work on, you know. And the first time they look at you a bit like, oh, you're being rude. And then the second time it's like, mate, look, I'm not trying to be rude, but like, you know, I'm getting it on stage. Like if you're getting on stage, what would you be like, sort of thing. So you sort of almost, and I'm in sales, so you've got to almost sell people your way of life. And it's, as I said, like, you know, I had a really good business coach a while ago. You know, like, what's your plan in life? Do you want to work, you know, 52 weeks a year and earn a lot of money, or would you rather work 40 weeks a year and have, you know, three holiday blocks of 4 weeks each time? Like, yeah, that does me. He said, right, well, reverse engineer it. What's your diary look like? And then you create your diary, and then you live by that diary, and then you become ruthless with it. You don't let people book in. Like, you know, if you've got an hour and a half gym session booked in and it's in the diary, and people say, oh, you know, can we catch up with you for half an hour? And it's like, no. And people say, oh, why? It's like, I don't need to give you an excuse. Like, you do not need to make excuses for yourself. If you've got your diary set and you're achieving everything you need to, and you give people time, and you can say, well, you know, I can fit you in, you know, whenever it is. If they don't want to make time to fit in around your diary, then disassociate with them, you know, find someone else that will. So, but yeah, your diary, you know, the way you manage your time is your life, right? You only get so much. So I think life is two things. It's time and effort. How much time do you have and how much effort you put in? And that's it. Yep, master those two things, you're good.
Yeah, it's interesting. And do you, like, this is a question for both of you. because I know for me, fitness has basically improved my life heaps. Like, it's given me confidence that I would have never had if I didn't do it. It's allowed me to excel in business and just, using those principles and taking them across. I mean, everything in life is essentially just progressive overload in a way, right? It's consistency and just improving at everything slowly over time. And that's what brings success, right? And Troy, you run a very successful business. You're also a coach, as you do really well as well. What do you think fitness has done for you boys? And how do you think it's changed your life? Like, if you didn't get into AFL, Ironmans, bodybuilding, do you think you would be a different person? And do you think you'd be going about life in a different way?
I think for me, I look at society today and I'm an observer. I don't really talk much. I listen and look. And my observation today, like over the last, say, 15 years, life has got very busy, and the stresses that are around an individual person can really impact where they go in life.
Mm.
Because they're not effective, whether that, their work practices, they're not really doing great within their relationships, not communicating very well, like Troy's just mentioned. And a lot of things can happen if you're not really effective at, whatever you're doing, like whether that's interacting with your kids or whatever. So if people aren't doing physical activity, they're more prone to all these stresses. And if they're unsure or don't have the tools or skills to manage stress and all those things that come with stress, then like, where are they going to end up? We all know where they're going to end up pretty much. So for me, physical activity started at a very young age. And if I can share that with people, the world's going to be a better place and people are going to participate more meaningfully and effective in society.
100%.
Yeah, and I think for me, it's look at, there's things in life that give you energy and there's things in life that take energy away. And there's a really good book called The Energy Bus by John Gordon, who's an ex-NFL coach who he was coaching, higher level NFL players and found it really hard to tell a story to the players. Maybe they weren't overly educated, but, he wrote some really good books around. Imagine you're a bus driver and you're on the bus and you're driving your own bus and you've got, people hopping onto your bus and all they do is, they're vampires. They suck the energy out of you. They keep sucking it out. But all of a sudden someone walks on your bus and gives you energy. I find people in sport and fitness give me energy. And I think I do the same back. I think it's one of those segments in life where, you go to the gym and they're doing it for the right reason. All four of us sitting right here, right now, we're talking about things that are probably, trying to help us be better people. But at the end of the day, we're energetic. Like, to be honest, I'll probably go for a walk and sit on the couch the rest of the day. But now, like, we're having a really good discussion because it's about, things that matter and it gives you energy. So I think sport, fitness, health gives you, I'll look at it and go, is that going to give me energy? It's like, yes, because there's a lot of things in life that will take energy out. And, you pick your poison, right? Like, sometimes you get cancer and it's delivered to you, there's not much you can do, right? So I'd rather choose my pain. If the pain is, physically exerting myself so that I, have more energy down the track, I'd rather choose that. So I think life's about choice. You choose things that give you energy or choose things that take energy away. And then, once you made that decision, it's quite clear. But yeah, the fitness world is, it's all designed around that, isn't it? It's to make you feel better, make you look better. Obviously it's gone a little bit too far in some respects, I think, now with social media and that sort of thing as well. People go a little bit overboard, but if you break it down, the nuts and bolts are they still probably are getting benefit from it. The influencers are still probably influencing people to be better humans. Like, I don't know if you guys have done the stats, but what would the gym memberships be like now? Has sport and fitness clothing gone up in sales? Has nutrition and the supplements gone up? I guarantee it has, and it's a good thing, I think. So it means people are more aware. But I think that the whole thing around giving people energy is what I'm attracted to.
And do you think it's transferred into your day-to-day life, career, and it's been a helping hand in your success?
100%. You become really aware, as I said before, like friends, let's go for a beer like on a Friday and say, nah, mate, I don't do that anymore. It's oh, why not? Your week is pissed. It's like, you know what? Come and live in my world. I think your week is pissed, sort of thing, you know. Like I know it's harder. It's harder to say no and then get yourself up the next day and try and improve yourself. I think you become super aware of the people around you. I think that's what changes. Is, as I said, you control yourself, but as I said, you probably become more aware of the people that are you know, taking energy away from you. So in business, like I had a really big business with 47 staff, and I made them read that book because people were coming in like, spoke to this client and this shit's going on. But I'm like, man, you just sucking the life out of me. So we gave people titles, you know, they'd walk in, they'd start negative. It's like, you've been an energy vampire, or are you being the bus driver, you're giving people energy, you know, and then they'd start to, I actually use it on my kid, and I'm like, how'd it go? They said, yeah, it works, you know. So just simple philosophies around, you know, like a lot of the problems we have aren't going to be around in half an hour, let alone tomorrow, you know, like they're gone. So why harp on it? So I think, and that's the fitness journey, right? How long is it, you do a heavy set, Chris? How long are you in pain for?
Yeah, just the set really, and then as soon as the set's over, you feel accomplished for it. You know?
100%. But imagine if you know, I think this is where Bob builds resilience. Is some people go, that set was so heavy, and they'll talk about it for the next 5 hours, and they'll miss doing the next set. So I think that's the beauty of, you know, sport, is it really makes you realise that you got to move on to the next task pretty quickly, otherwise you're going to get left behind. So yeah, I think relationships wise, you know, I think my partners have changed too. Like, you know, I think we're all younger. You attract to a certain type of female at the start because they're fun, they're going out, and now it's like, it's the fucking worst thing we're going to do right now is have a, you know. So it's a lot of changes, but I think you become more attracted to the people that are very similar to your mindset, I guess. And same with business. To be honest, if I'm recruiting staff now, one of the first questions I ask is, you know, like, you know, what do you do for your health and fitness? If they say nothing, it's like, okay, I'll move on. Yeah. So
not that you have to be a professional athlete or anything like that, but it just shows that it's a really good sign if someone has focus, discipline, structure in their life, and that just transfers into pretty much everything that you do if you are able to be consistent with fitness.
100%. Yeah.
And you're building on yourself. It just shows that you're trying to improve yourself, which is what employers want.
It's the ideal employee, right? Yeah.
What about you, Chris?
How is it?
Do you think it's helped? I mean, you're studying right now. Like, that takes obviously a lot of focus, a lot of discipline.
Oh, bro, honestly, probably every facet of my life. Like, I think I've just, ever since I was young, I've liked doing things that were hard, just for the simple fact that they were hard. So be it university degrees, be it training, be it prepping for bodybuilding shows, be it any sort of sport that's been played. I think just the feeling of accomplishment, of achieving a goal that is very hard, or a majority of the people would be saying things like, oh, how do you do that? Like, that's just crazy. I could never do something like that. That alone, that one thing to me means everything, because I'm like, I just really like doing things that are really hard and other people wouldn't be able to handle. That's literally it. And that literally is boiled over to every single thing that I do in my life, be it, you know, studying fucking how many hours a day to get a certain grade for something, which some people might be like, wow, how the fuck, why would you do that in the first place? But those same people in 5 or 10 years time will come back and ask you how you did what you did to get where you are. So, and that's happened multiple points in my life. Even when I was like 18 and I was prepping for my first show, people are like, oh, like, it's so hard. Like, you know, you're like, oh, you fucking this and that, you know, and then you fast forward a few years time and the same people are inquiring for coaching. So it's just like, you know what I mean? Like, it's that building that resilience over time and just doing hard shit that I really, really enjoy.
Yeah, I think that's really important. I think a lot of success in life lies in just doing the hard shit that you're most people put off on a day-to-day basis. Like, everyone, like, most people just put off that hard shit, and then they just kind of slowly veer down this, you know, road where they just get worse and worse. And yeah, it's I had a similar experience, Chris, when I was getting into fitness. A lot of people around me, very close to me, in fact, were like, why the fuck are you doing this? It's like obsessive, right?
Yeah.
And then 5, 10 years down the track, how do I get, how do I lose this
Your
20
plan, how do I-
kilos? How do I do this? And they
Yeah.
haven't habits, and it's just so hard for them to do later down the track. Very possible, but it's going to be a big shock to their lifestyle, right?
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, it's just one of those things, bro. It's like, yeah, I think if you started early and you're continuing, through it throughout your entire life, I think that that'll boil over into everything you do, into your family, into your relationships, into, it's like being a better father, being a better husband, just constantly trying to improve on all of those areas and aspects when, sometimes those things may fall by the wayside, admittedly, but, you constantly work and improve on those things. And, that's the flux of life,
Fucking all right, let's get to some questions, boys. Anything? Do you have any other questions for Troy and Az or anything, or do you want to get into some Q&A?
Maybe just the one question I did want to ask you both is what, in relation to, I guess, maybe with Troy in particular, between this show and your last show where you came third at Nationals, how did that, because we obviously, as it touched on how, that the last showing that he did where, obviously your situation was different, his prep, the previous prep was obviously different again, but your last prep, you executed everything exactly as planned. How did you feel in relation to your placing at the last show? And then obviously that leading into motivation to improve into where you are now, and maybe how differently you've executed, maybe even mentally and also physically between last prep and now.
Yeah. Look, obviously, last time round, I was obviously happy with what I'd produced, and thought I was the leanest I'd ever been. And then now it's like fucking new level. Hey, like it's totally different. So from last prep to this prep, I think the biggest change is just understanding that it is just compounding, and it's there's no it's not a sprint, and it's just really building the basics and doing it well. And it's even the way I lift in the gym now is different. I used to lift with a training mentality. It's like, how quickly can I move this from point A to point B, and how quickly can I get through a session, and is my heart rate up, and am I pushing hard, and that sort of thing. Now it's like, am I timing out at 2 minutes rest between each one, and am I making sure I recover, and am I lifting the way that we should? Because, men's physique, we might be looking to, grow my shoulder cap, so that we put more emphasis in that. So it's being aware. I guess probably the big difference is, why is Chris programming the things that he's programming? Me understanding that, and then me doing it the way it should be done, rather than just doing it because it's in a program. So a little bit more of an analytical approach, a little bit more of a I guess knowledge base. Like I do love it. Like I love thinking around, like, why is he programmed this, or why is this in place, and that sort of thing. So it's trying to understand the detail and the mechanism behind it. So I guess the biggest change is the way that I train. I train now with a lot more intent, but my intensity is not like it was. Does that make sense? Mm. So if I'm doing a set of 8 to 12, the intent's around the reps correctly, blah, blah, blah. Whereas before it was just like, how quickly can I rip in? Am I sweating? Am I getting a pump? That sort of shit. And then I walk out the gym going, yeah, good session. So, but it's also seen the little gains. Hey, as I said, like, I don't think I was heavier this prep around, but I didn't get as fat. So, that's encouraging. So there's little encouragement steps along the way that you look at and go, well, shit, there are a lot of changes. And you look back, 2.5, 3 years ago at photos, you're like, man, I thought I was in good condition 10 weeks out. And you look at this over, you go, I look fat. It's just totally different.
Crazy how your brain, your perception of fat will change.
Yeah.
Your first prep, like every single time.
Yeah. And that's an awareness thing, hey? So probably, the biggest change is just an awareness of why we do what we do, and then actually applying the execution properly. I think we all think that we execute, like you see people go to the gym and they do a lift and it's like, oh, shit, that's not really the right way to do it. But they're doing it because that's the way they want to do it, and that's fine. They don't want to probably get on stage. But for me, it's like, well, if I'm going to get on stage, I might as well invest the time and the IQ power to actually understand it and do it properly.
That's the difference, right? That's the difference between like a general pop gym goer to someone who's actually investing time, money, effort into like a lifestyle, pretty much. Like, I'm not saying a general pop person should or do all these things that we do, but if they just tried to make the effort to understand a little bit more on why are they actually going to the gym, why are they doing certain exercises, why are they eating the right foods, just understanding all that to get a wholesome perspective on physical activity.
And I guess the other question I had that I want to ask you both as well, which I think will be interesting too, is obviously I've been coaching Az for fucking however many years. I've been coaching Troy for a lot of years now. What is your experience in terms of being coached by myself? If you had to sum it up in a few sentences.
I'll start. I said before, probably trust. So I trust the communication. I trust the knowledge that you have. I trust that you actually want the outcome that I want as well, which is super important. I think, let's face it, bodybuilding is an outcome-based sort of sport. We're trying to get something that looks like something at the end of the day. And I think that's what I love about it's easy, as I said, like I don't need to question it. And if I do, like, it's responded with quickly, but I think it's just the trust. I think Chris being able to communicate to me the methodology behind why he's doing it in a really easy way. Like, I'm busy. I don't have, an hour to sit down and do a check-in each week. I think the check-in maybe takes 7 or 8 minutes, mate, each week. And it's all the information I need to get me through. And he might have different clients, but I think what Chris is good at is he understands who I am, what I need out of it, and he coaches me the way that I need to be coached, as opposed to a blanket approach that everyone else would have, which is just a cookie cutter approach.
Beautiful. And for me, I think, with the experience that you've collated over the, I don't know how many years, over 10 years, dealing with individuals from all different sort of backgrounds, and then having all that information stored, you're very capable at changing dialogue. I've been around you when you've been talking to people, like doing a pre-screening call or initial phone call with a client or someone's interested in coming to you. And like, your dialogue is very specific in how you approach that call to someone doing an actual check-in. And you're very professional in the way you sort of talk to someone, comparing, just say me, a really close mate, to a stranger or someone that you've been coaching for 6 months. You're very professional in keeping that mateship and the professionalism very separate. So that's why I think you're very good at what you do. But yeah, and just changing your dialogue and being able to talk to me as someone you've been coaching for, I don't know, 10 plus years, to being like, mate, you're doing a fucking shit job here. Put your socks up, put your heart out on, stop fucking around.
I think that's good too, because it gives the listeners a bit of an insight into what, maybe if they're looking for a coach themselves, what characteristics I think they need to look for. Because, like, you go on social media nowadays and it's like you scroll through Instagram and everyone is offering online coaching, right? Like, people that have never even coached any sort of athlete or played any sport themselves or done anything really, they just got like a bit of a following. And I think sometimes they can get a little bit lost in the polarizing amount of, say, followers someone has or this and that, rather than, I think, looking at the tangibles, which are, the education, the experience, the results, all those things, which I think are far more important.
I think the passion as well, bro.
Yeah, the passion too.
Like, I think the big difference that separates a not so good coach from a great coach is just how much do they actually care about your success. And when you have a passion for this stuff, it really shows, because you genuinely give a fuck. If
I think you also started at the right time as well, like staying up to date with all the information that's coming out in the bodybuilding world in regards to, like, anatomy and physiology around how the body works and whatnot. But you're in that peak time where everyone's intrigued about, if I do this, if I eat this, if I work out like this, if I do this type of training, you have all that information. It's very up to date compared to someone who's 50, 60 years old that have gained knowledge that's not really relevant now. Like Troy was talking in the sporting space, like back then they weren't really focusing on recovery. It was bloody just go out there and just smash yourself. So yeah, like right now you're like a modern day coach pretty much.
Good stuff.
Beautiful, boys. Beautiful.
Anything you boys want to add? Is Troy, Az, just before we go into some questions?
No, I think I'm good. Right, yeah. Yep.
All right. Beautiful, beautiful. Question number one. Eating 500 grams of carbs to fuel lifting, running, but experiencing digestive issues, constipation, gassy. Thoughts on what I should do differently?
Troy, do you want to lead off on this one since you're that's a big part of your history?
How much were you eating?
Yeah.
Anything like that with running?
Yeah, 100%. So, like, you're going to find your own body type and obviously the way it works as well. But, I used to work on sort of 80 to 90 grams of carbs per hour of exercise. So, I wouldn't really carb load up too much. There's no point. Like, what's the point in having excess amounts of carbohydrates in your system if you're fully, like, especially if you're doing, if you're doing sessions and you're eating well. It's different if you're, in prep and you might need a bit of a kick. But reality is, if you've got a high calorie diet right now, there's no point loading. You might as well just, like probably you're doing with my prep, it's just incrementally increasing the amount of carbohydrates. For myself, when I was doing endurance sports and ultra marathons and things like that, if I ate too much food, you would 15 kilometers in the race, you need to go to the trees and do shit. So you're better off just drip feeding. It's for myself. Same thing. You got to monitor. Just because someone says have 500 grams doesn't mean it's right for you. Like 500. Remember, prep time 2 years ago, day of comp or day before comp, I'm eating 2 kilos of potatoes, and Azar's had like 50 grams of sugar or 50 grams of honey or something. So totally different. Hey, like it's just crazy. Like so find out what works for you. And just because someone says 500 grams, don't necessarily trust it. Trial it. If you've got a coach, obviously have some faith in what they say, but feedback's important. If you stop feeling well, it's probably not working.
Probably for me, even though I get full on a fucking mouthful of food, whether I am like putting food down my mouth like copious amounts, things that I sort of focus on, like the small things. So, one mouthful of food with one mouthful of water, like in between. So you're just helping that with that digestion. But then also going for a small 10-minute walk after having a really big meal.
Yeah, I think my mind immediately goes to, I think, are you picking carbohydrate sources, number one, that agree with you as well? Because, like, obviously 500 grams of carbs is a lot. If you're consuming that simply through potatoes or, things that are going to be very sort of high fibrous, you probably will find that, there's going to be some digestive issues. Like, you probably want to have some low residue carbs in there as well, some cereals, rice cakes, white rice, things that are going to digest very easily for you. So yeah, I think if you're going to set your diet up where you're eating 500 grams plus carbs a day, you need to be mindful of the food volume as well that's going into your stomach. So, because even still 500 grams of carbs can be a lot of rice. So, you might be better off having some dates, mixing in some honey and rice cakes, trying to find ways to get big amounts of carbohydrates in without causing negative like stomach distension and things like that. And as well, making sure that even if you are on that, you're still consuming an adequate amount of, fruits and vegetables as well to sort of aid in gastric motility. So yeah, I think provided you've got everything in place and it's not too much for you, moderating your carbohydrate source is probably a pretty good way to go.
I don't have our spreadsheet in front of us, Chris, but how many carbs do you want at the moment?
I can tell you right now. I'm over 500, about 520 at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say you 500 plus. So
yeah.
What are you eating to kind of avoid that?
Yeah, so for me, my go-to carbohydrate sources, I eat a lot of rice flour, so cream of rice.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of rice, pretty much just rice in a bunch of different forms, to be honest. I also eat a lot of sourdough as well. So rice, sourdough, rice flour, different sorts of breads, bagels.
Making Troy hungry.
Yeah, basically just like a bunch of different carbohydrate sources that are rice-based.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff digests really well for you. I think if you're seeing a lot of these symptoms occur, it's something is not right. Like that's your body's way of letting you know that things are not working well.
Yeah.
So we probably need to change the inputs. Will some isolation movements hit a wall for a while in terms of weight over the journey? So in terms of progression,
Yeah, so I think one thing I am a huge fan of, and the boys will know this as well, is because obviously when you're doing an isolation movement, you're not going to be able to overload them as you would a compound, right? So it's highly unlikely you're going to be adding 2.5 to 5 kilos to your lateral raises every week, right? So I'm a huge fan of like double progression, whereby you'd effectively pick a load, you would pick a rep range, and then you would start on the lower end of that rep range. So you might go a lateral raise, you might do, I don't know, maybe the 12 kilo dumbbells, 12.5 kilo dumbbells for 10 to 12. And then once you get to the top end of that rep range, you can go ahead and increase the load and come back up. So you're really increasing reps before you increase the load. Now, even on some movements like I said, a lateral raise, you might even be better off widening that range. It might be like 10 to 15 or 15 to 20, because for you to make an increase, you might need to be able to get to 15 reps on the lateral raises with the 12.5s before you can actually go up to the 15s. So I think using that double progression method allows you to stay a lot more consistent with the progression on your accessory work.
Yep. I agree. I think that's pretty much covers that. Jack, how long is a piece of string? Fucking moron. I got a lot of Carlton ones too. Boss laying more tackles than his team. 3 votes, boss. All right. What pre-workout supplements do you guys use? Do you guys use pre-workouts?
Yeah, I'm using Ghost Legend at the moment, and Ghost Pump.
Nice.
Love that combo. That's probably my favorite combo, to be honest.
Yeah, clean, doesn't give me any digestion wise. It's easy. Yeah, and it's sort of, it does not, I don't think it's an overly strong stim, but it's enough just to break it up from the water and give you something else that has a bit of a taste in your mouth. But yeah, well, love those products.
A lot of coffee, Troy?
1 in the morning.
That's it?
Yeah.
I don't like overstimulation of caffeine either. So I pretty much do the 1 coffee most days, and then I'll have pre-workout on training days. And yeah, I use the Ghost Legend as well. And then for me, it's just Ghost Legend. And, sometimes I'll stack in the Ghost Pump with that as well. Probably something more so I'll add in during a prep where electrolytes are obviously a little bit lower, just from lower consumption of calories and, sodium, potassium, etc. But I also do like 200 to 300 mils of coconut water intra-workout as well.
Yeah, I'm using the same, to be honest. Ghost.
Train.
You on the Ghost, bro? You on the Ghost train?
Yeah, I am.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah.
I just pretty much exclusively drink coffee.
Yeah, you're not a big pre-workout. Andy doesn't like to be
pre-workout, but I drink pump. I do pump sometimes, like probably maybe once or twice a week. I've used the Ghost one. One I'm using now, which is actually pretty good, is Premium Subs. Have you seen Premium Subs around? You might have seen them on Instagram. Very good. I mean, this is not a fucking ad for them, but very good ingredients. And they're like a relatively new company, I think, but their pump product has 10 grams of citrulline in it.
Very efficacious dosing.
Very efficacious doses for everything. So it's really good. You should check them out, and it's really cheap as well. So that's what I've been using, but I don't use it that often. Like maybe once or twice a week I'll put it in with my workout. Favorite travel destination and one place you'd love to visit.
Oh shit.
Where's the favorite place you've been, guys?
I've been to Hawaii 12 times. So that's probably
that's probably number 1.
So
Hawaii.
Yeah, so got married there once actually. That didn't last, but didn't ruin the memories. But no, Hawaii's awesome, man. It's nice Pacific sort of nature, but Americanized at the same time. So plus, you're sort of in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, probably Hawaii's. Yeah, that's my probably favorite. And where would I want to go? Gee, where would I want to go? Probably South Africa, to be honest. Yeah, something totally different. Yeah, maybe safari and something like that.
Shit, nice. Chris?
Yeah, obviously we went to Europe last year. So we went to a few different places there, which was pretty cool. I think I really enjoyed Paris. I think Paris was really, really nice. And where we stayed and we went up sort of the top of Mount Lamont, like that sort of really sticks in my mind of a place that I really enjoyed visiting. In terms of places I would like to go, Look, I'm probably not a huge travel guy, to be honest. Like I don't love long plane flights. I'm not a great flyer. So for me, yeah, I much prefer just the short little trips down to maybe like Melbourne to come to you or fucking
You
up
know,
to.
my favorite place is Maroochydore, bro.
Yeah, also say I love Maroochydore, but I already live here, so I can't say that, you know.
Yeah, yeah. As
Probably for me, it would be Phuket would be a really good spot. Yeah, I went there when I was in year 7, and yeah, it was the best holiday I've ever had. Just so relaxed, just chill out on the beach. Heaps of activities there, depending on what resort you're staying at. But yeah, Laguna Dusit is the hotel. So if you're looking for a really nice stay, yeah, it's bang on for cash. It is a little bit expensive, but probably a place for me to go to would be Canada, and just jump in a bus and just take some scenic routes.
Or actually, Japan. I would like to go to Japan. Yeah.
I'd say I'm up there. I really liked Hawaii. I really liked Italy when I went last year. That was pretty cool. If it's like party destinations, probably like Mykonos or
I'd
Ibiza.
like to. Everyone talks about Mykonos. I wouldn't mind going to Mykonos.
Mykonos is sick, dude. And I think places I would love to go would be, I want to do like more of Spain, probably.
Give me
And
1 sec, Chris. I'll just call Emily just to get confirmation of that.
yeah.
She's right here, actually. She's in the bathroom.
Not listening in, bro, taking notes. Do you guys use creatine?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I take 10 grams a day.
10 grams a day.
Not me.
Not me. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm the same. 10 grams a day, every day.
Yeah.
What do you? I kind of like usually recommend like around a gram per kilo, roughly. Do you reckon that's a good? So it's around 10 grams for you guys, pretty close.
Yeah. Look, I think for most people, I think 5 grams is probably going to be more than sufficient. If you do look at sort of the body of literature, even for guys that are over 100 kilos, like probably 5 grams is sufficient. But look, I definitely think I've noticed a bit more of a benefit for some going from sort of 5 to 10 grams and then just sort of keeping it. And look, it's one of those things too. It does have some nootropic benefits as well from a cognition standpoint, as well as, saturating the muscle cell, driving power, output, performance, etc. But yeah, like I said, I think it's one of those things that it's really cheap, it's cost effective, and taking 10 grams a day, it's like, what is it? Maybe $40 for a kilo, 35 for a kilo or something for bulk nutrients. So like it's not expensive even if you go from 5 to 10 grams. So I think, look, if you trial it and you feel like you get a bit more from 10 grams, then you can roll with that. It's not something you really need to cycle off of either. You can just stay on it, year round. It doesn't have a negative impact either way. So yeah, I reckon that probably covers it.
Yeah, I like for myself 10 grams, like close
Yeah,
to.
you take 10 grams too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's take a few more, guys. Are you competing soon, Chris? Looking big.
Yeah, so we're obviously working towards our season 8 prep, which is pretty exciting. So
All happening soon for us, bro.
yeah, Andy's coaching me through this process this time around. So I've obviously we've gone through a bit of a pre-prep. We've gone through a bit of a gaining phase now, and yeah, look, the process has been really good, right? I've really been enjoying it. I think when we're talking about before, that there's a coach for everyone and a style that works really well for everyone, and even in the phase of their life that they're in. I think that's why I enjoy our processes so much. It's just the fact that I have that level of trust with you. Obviously I've known you now for probably like 5 or 6 years. So, and yeah, obviously I have full confidence in your ability to, one, get me lean, but two, the fact that whatever you tell me to do it, I'll just do it. So there's not like an over reliance on, that I've got shit to do. I'm busy. We catch up for a phone call and that's literally our check-in for the week. And I think, I just, at this point, probably in my bodybuilding career, I don't need to be babied. I don't need to be filling out fucking, like Troy was saying, something that's going to take me an hour to do. It's literally just, you tell me what to do and I'll just execute it and have full confidence in that. So I think it'll be a good process. I think we're starting pretty soon. So
Getting there very soon, bro.
Another 8 weeks or so left of this gaining phase before we start moving into prep, and we've got that timeline sort of mapped out coming into season A. So yeah, I'm pretty excited for it. It's going to be good.
Yeah. So pretty much post wedding, we've gone into a reasonably short gaining phase.
Yeah. I think it'll have been maybe like 12, 14 weeks or something fully. I think we've already been at it for maybe like 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think we're in a great position, man, and I think the timeline is looking really good for what we've kind of mapped out, and I definitely think it's going to be the best look.
Yeah, I definitely think I've put on a lot of size since the last show.
Yeah.
I would say maybe an equivalent amount of size to probably what Troy's put on in 2 years. So for me, it's obviously I've went through a phase there where I was just coaching. I wasn't really taking bodybuilding seriously. I was focused on my athletes and just doing the best I could there. And yeah, I think it's been a good thing for me to hand over the reins to you, and that gives me the opportunity then to be the best coach that I can be, because I don't have to worry so much about myself. Which I really enjoy. Like Troy said, with outsourcing, and I think that outsourcing, even as a coach, and even for myself, having someone I outsource to is I think really important as well as an athlete and as a coach as well.
For sure. All right, let's do one more. What would you do if a client who lost their menstrual cycle, not on any hormones or PEDs, has gotten it back despite being in a caloric surplus for over a year? I think hasn't got it back. Sorry, apologies. Despite being in a calorie surplus for over a year, currently at a healthy BMI and over 65 grams of fat per day. So someone was in a fat loss phase, I'm assuming, lost their menstrual cycle, not on any PEDs, and still hasn't gotten it back despite being in a surplus for over a year and eating an adequate amount of dietary fat and has a healthy BMI. Have you seen this happen, Chris?
Yeah, so basically, obviously, the term for loss of menstrual cycle is called amenorrhea, and it's very, very common amongst females who compete and prep for a show. Look, I've noticed varying degrees of people losing menstrual cycle function at different periods of a prep.
100%.
Sometimes it doesn't take much at all. Sometimes it only takes a little bit of disruption first few weeks of prep, and for some reason it tends to go, even if calories are high, stress might be low, and a bunch of other factors sort of play into that. And sometimes it's like down to energy availability. So the further they get into a contest prep, when they're starting to get really, really lean, that's when they start to notice. Generally, it'll start to become a bit weird. So, the normal menstrual cycle is around sort of 28 days in length. Sometimes it becomes a bit longer, a bit shorter. They start sort of spot bleeding, just doing some odd things, and then they might lose menstrual cycle function altogether. I think even sort of being in a healthy, BMI sort of state, everyone's body is going to be uniquely individual to themselves in terms of what it's going to take to get it back, right? So I think number one is restoring energy availability. So putting on some fat mass again initially, and then also using fats to driving fats up to drive some additional hormone synthesis. And then also too, a huge factor is you can also see, even without any diet, you can see some females lose their menstrual cycle function just randomly, right? So being able to manage your stresses, moderate the stresses that are obviously in your life, not just focusing so much on like your nutrition and your training, but also the other factors around recovery. Are you sleeping well? Are you hydrated? Are you you obviously put some body fat back on? Where are your calories at? How high is your fat intake, which should probably be superseding like 1 gram per kilogram of body weight at least for females, which is a pretty good range that we've sort of discussed at length. And then as well, I think it's also common if you are someone who's been doing a lot of output and expenditure and a lot of training to get the fat off, really trying to dial that back as much as you can to limit the amount of stress that's on the body. Because even after a show prep, it's very common for athletes to be like, okay, show's finished, I need to get straight back into this and start, hammering my training. I was doing 4 days, I'm going to do 5 days, I'm going to do 6 days, I'm going to do double day sessions, right? And you need to have essentially a recovery phase. Yeah, you need to have a recovery phase set up, which might be 8 weeks before you're able to train back at full capacity. So modulating all those things, I think, is probably the way to go.
Do you think a year is something to maybe not worry about? But
I'd be following up with blood work probably at the 4-week or 8-week post mark. I definitely wouldn't be taking that long to get to start to address the root cause. Like if it hasn't come back in a year, I would say even 12 weeks, you probably should be going to see a medical practitioner around getting some hormone studies completed and just seeing where your hormone production is at.
Yeah, I've noticed from myself, I've prepped a lot of women now, it's so different for every person, man. When they lose it, what is the trigger for them losing it? Like what we can kind of nail it down to, whether it's food availability or body fat percentage or just overall stress of cardio and training. And then when it comes back is quite different for different females as well. But yeah, I would say, look, if it's been 12 months or over a year, over 12 months, probably something you want to kind of look into.
Yeah, it's probably why I don't think a traditional reverse diet is a fantastic thing for females, especially if they have lost menstrual cycle function. Because, like I said, you want to be trying to restore energy availability as quickly as possible, and going back to maintenance calories probably immediately following the finish of the diet if you have lost menstrual cycle function. Because, that can have some potential long-term repercussions for fertility and things like that down the line. So you want to be trying to restore that as quickly as you can.
And even bone density and stuff like that.
Definitely, yeah.
I know a few women who are just kind of like not worried about it.
Yeah.
And it's not been there for a long time. And it can have some adverse problems. So something you want to kind of get on top of for sure.
Yeah.
You boys want to add anything to that? I don't know if that's kind of in your fields of.
No, probably just reiterate what you just said. Like Tracy, she competed 3 times in a year at one stage, and
I was going to say,
that
this is a
extended.
good example for you because obviously Tracy,
Mm.
if those who don't know, maybe tell them a little bit about Tracy as well and her experience competing, because she's an extremely good athlete herself.
Yeah, good athlete, and finished second in worlds last year in Vegas. Just obviously very, very dedicated to what she does. But I think there was a period there, maybe a few months, where she'd lost hers, and I think it was a combination of obviously training too hard, not allowing the cortisone levels to come back down, because she was, obviously, in terms of time off, there was none, and then obviously fat content being so low. So I think what actually fixed, obviously, migrated fat up or titrated fat up in her diet, but I think it was just trying to relax, to be honest with you. I think trying to get it in a situation where her body could actually recover and actually settle down, because it's it's highly stressed for such a long period of time. And I think females, you're right, I think they probably need to eat more food quicker than sometimes they program in, like in terms of, given a reverse diet of 8 weeks or something like that, where it gradually comes up. I think there's more benefit just to have a bit of a bang load of, some added food just to get them back on track, and a bit of time away from the gym too. Like I think females are unbelievable. They can probably go to the gym more consistently and harder than most males for some reason. So, for her, I think it was just a combination of easing off, time away from the gym, and then obviously getting a little bit more quality food in terms of fat content up.
I think it's a hard one for women as well, because look, the reality is competing at a high level is harsh on the reproductive system for a female, and especially if you're a serious competitor who's doing shows on shows on shows, and that's kind of like what you do. You never really give your body a chance to recover. And I think even when the shows are done, a lot of women are very scared to gain body fat back on, and it's kind of fucks with them mentally a lot of the time. But a lot of the time, that's exactly what they need to do. They need to put body fat on. Like a lot of women or even guys that just try to stay lean after their show, and you can be on 65 grams of fat, being maybe a slight surplus or whatever, but if you haven't gained the necessary amount of body fat to set to, for your reproductive system to go, okay, this, we're in a safe place now, we can get things going again, it just may not happen, right? So body fat is important. Like getting fat back on your body is a huge part in bringing a lot of this stuff back. And it's
a hard sell, because girls, like, especially women, when they finish, they're like, oh, I look amazing, I don't want to put fat back on. But with guys, it's like, oh fuck, let's grow. You know what I mean? Like I'm keeping food back in.
Yeah.
100%. All right, guys, we might leave it there. Before
awesome.
Yeah, boys, fantastic.
You boys want to plug anything? Shout yourselves out.
As you want to plug your Instagram that you just reactivated?
No, mate, I'll be deactivating it straight away after this.
Troy, coaching, real estate, Instagram.
Oh, you just got obviously a pretty good business up here called Palm House Property in Cairns, and obviously my partner Trace and I run a business coaching business
Best in
called
the
Unlimited
business,
Coaching.
bro.
Hey,
Best in the business.
yeah. So, but that's it, man. It's and obviously if you want to follow the journey in the next couple of weeks, on the Instagram handle, it's it's always good to see people follow. But obviously the Gold Coast and then Melbourne. The 28th of September, AFL Grand Final Day. Can you believe they've structured the competition on the same day?
My birthday too, man.
Is it really? I'll see you there. That'd be good, mate. Yeah. So, but that's it for me. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, sick. And also, I saw you put up a YouTube video. Are you going to get on that a bit more, or?
Yeah, I am. I'm going to start. Hey,
I'm waiting for another one to drop.
Yeah, I've just shot a little bit of one yesterday. So, it's sort of more from demand. I think people are sort of saying to me, because I'm a bit older, I guess, I think that probably spikes a bit of interest around a certain demographic. So, yeah, you're going to try and post a little bit more. I'm going to be quite honest. I'll probably talk about, obviously the way that, psychologically what it's like for myself and a family and business-wise, but also PEDs, like a lot of people come to me in the gym, 48 years of age, you must be running a lot of gear. I'm like, you got no idea, mate. I don't run much at all, but I do run, So probably as an education piece, I think, I think we've got almost a responsibility now just to let people know that what can be achieved without being irresponsible at the same time. So yeah, probably look at something a little bit more consistent ongoing. Yep.
Sick. So yeah, check out Troy's Instagram and YouTube, because it is like I said, very relatable, and I'm sure a lot of people can relate to working a lot of hours. Either whether you own a business or you work for someone else, and I just think your videos are really valuable because
it really shows a great
talk about philosophy a lot, and your own philosophies with how you balance everything and what kind of drives you. So
thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Go check it.
With the way you're able to portray and put across, I guess, your emotions and your feelings into words. I know for me, if I was 2 weeks out from a show, I could barely string 2 words together.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, sick.
I have my moments.
Easy. If you guys are interested in coaching or anything like that, you can go to our website, www.strengthlabmelbourne.com.au. And yeah, thank you boys for jumping on, man. I know, Troy, you're 2 weeks out, so it's probably been hard, but thank you very much, and we'd love to.
I appreciate it.
That's why I wanted to get him on now, so people.
Yeah, I'll be dead next week.
Yeah. But yeah, we'd love to have you both back on, and maybe we can do that after the show.
Yeah.
Bit of a wrap up, see how we're cracking along.
Now that everyone knows who you are, we can just get straight into talking shit.
Nuts and bolts. Yeah, awesome.
All right, boys. Ciao.
Thanks, boys. Appreciate it.